and they're off. Here we go.
This is the Dirt Church Radio Trail and Ultra Marathon podcast number 284. I'm Matt Raymond.
And I am Eugene Bingham. Tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai, hoki mai. Te whanganui atara, Pōneke. We are here.
Sitting in a rental car in a car park.
Oh,
I mean,
doesn't sound as glamorous.
It's not glamorous, but we're here and we're excited.
We are.
Why are we here?
We are here for the Wu2K. Let's just say it, the race name that lies.
Saying that it's what, 2K or
yeah.
Urban Ultra?
No, it's definitely Urban Ultra. It's the 2K bit that I'm worried about. Do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I think the 65K is probably a bit over 2K, but a lot over 2K, but it's around 1900 for the 45K.
There you go.
So we'll test that out.
Okay, Gareth. All right.
We'll test that out tomorrow.
Yeah, so we are down for Wu2K, the Wellington Urban Ultra. For those of you who don't know it, takes in all the urban trails of our capital city, the beautiful capital city, the beautiful trails, and you're going to be running the 45K.
Yep. Yeah, I am excited. I mean, my voice may not appear it, but don't let
it's just the circumstance in which we find ourselves.
That's right. Don't let that deceive you. Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be the fourth time doing this race, and I was a first-year Charlie as well, so I did the inaugural race, and this is the 9th time it's been run, so really, really excited. Looking forward to, we're about to head into the hall and catch up with a bunch of people and check gear in and do all that sort of stuff. I feverishly running around, jumped out of bed last night. Oh my God, my whistle's in my pack. Get my whistle out. Put my whistle in my gear bag.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's the seam sealed jacket?
Yeah, mine's got a hood too.
Is it?
Yeah. So I made sure of that. The seams are fully sealed and it has a hood.
Yes. It's not a jacket that's seam sealed.
Wouldn't have a clue. I just bought the one that they gave me. Or took the one that they gave me.
Yes. No, it's going to be exciting, isn't it? Big exciting weekend ahead. We had that good preview with Brad Houghton last week. If you haven't heard it, well, I guess, yeah, I mean, you should go back and have a listen to it anyway. But it gave some good tips as to how to run this course. And did it inspire a new thoughts about how you're going to attack the race this weekend?
I think that personally for me, it's always been that last 10K. So that didn't do anything to dispel any sort of not concerns, but it's that last 10K that always kind of really knock it out of me. And not that the first 35 are a walk in the park, but you know, you're on adrenaline and you're sort of going and you're thinking about stuff. But I certainly thinking about that, I have sort of planned my maybe planned a little bit, trialing a bit differently with some nutrition stuff, having to think about what I'm going to do, being a bit more intentional about it perhaps than I would have been, because this is a build up. You know, this isn't a like an A race per se. Of course, I've trained for it, but not. You know, it's a step in the right direction. So I'm super excited about it. Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's see how the weekend unfolds. Let's go and catch up with some good folk, some good trail running folk who have gathered from around the country to come and run this amazing race.
Further, faster, there in Christchurch, Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go further, faster now.
Oh, further, faster, there in Christchurch, Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go further, faster now.
Church Radio.
Right, we are now in the hall. Matt, what are you about to do?
I'm about to get this is the covenant, isn't it? It's the holy grail of the trail running experience. It's getting my compulsory gear checked.
The compulsory gear check. And who have we got? We've got Jenny Hirst doing the gear check. How are you, Jenny?
I'm good, Eugene. Really good. Great to see you guys.
So good to see you. So you're down for the weekend running, but you're also volunteering.
Correct, yeah.
And you're on the gear check.
Yeah, I'm on gear checks. Stressful job.
Is it?
A little bit. We've had a few.
Kick back at what constitutes a seam seal jacket yet?
No one's argued with me.
Okay.
We've had a couple. Yeah. Head torch seems to be the issue mostly. Yeah.
In what way?
People just forgot to bring it.
Oh, so they don't have one. They're not trying to argue that an orange is a head torch or anything.
No, everyone's pretty laid back. We've got.
But I've got a candle. You've got yours.
I don't.
You don't. I have mine if you need it. Anyway, so what is it that you're looking out for in gear check?
Oh, so we've got first aid kit, strapping tape, thermals, tops and bottoms, beanie, whistle, gloves, emergency bag or blanket, water containers, and headlamp for the 45 and 65. So even the 21K, it's pretty gnarly up the top. You guys have been up over that track, so people have sort of asked about that and said, well, if you stop, you're going to get really cold. Hopefully you don't need any of this, just have to carry it.
And that's the point, isn't it? Is it's not so much about you, it's about if you get stuck, someone's going to have to come and get you. And so, you need to be warm while you're waiting to, it helps everyone if you have the right gear.
Yeah. I had a mate, Mark, back in that wet year. Mark fell over, smashed his shoulder up, ended up with a bunch of people wrapped around him, keeping him warm up on that bit because it was just really hard. I think it took 4 hours to get him off.
It was a little bit cold there, yeah. Right, you better, do I need to grab my headlamp? Oh, okay, just a minute, just a second.
That's embarrassing, hey? All right, talk me through it.
Okay, just spread it out and we'll have a look.
So that's a seam-sealed jacket with a hood.
From Further Faster?
It is. It's a Montaigne Minimus Stretch Ultra.
Headlamp, wow, that's
If they can.
Oh, that's a good one. It's got some strapping tape. I can see that there. That's strapping tape. Yep. That's for the ankles.
Tape actually meet muster? Because if that is the case, I shall leave the larger strapping tape at home.
They've said as long as it can strap up an ankle. Could that strap up an ankle?
So look at it. See,
You're the nurse.
I'm a feelings nurse. I could ask, hey. No.
No, that's
All right.
that. But you have got that. No, that's gauze bandage.
Yeah. Okay.
Better be safe than sorry.
Emergency bag and whistle.
Nifty.
Polypropylene top. Polypropylene leggings.
Nice stripe there. I think you should start the race with those on the outside.
Hat and gloves.
We've had a few cute matching sets. Yeah, cool.
And I like the way you've packed these away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've refrained from pulling everything out.
Are you happy with that?
That, just double check that. Yeah, we got that. Beanie, whistle, thermal, emergency bag. Yep. And a headlamp.
Yep.
Cool.
Excellent.
Wow. All right, so what are you running tomorrow, Jenny?
What am I doing? 45. So it's my 7th time on that course, I think, if you count 2020, which was not the WTK 2K. So looking forward to it. But a different start. Finish at the velodrome is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, lap around the velodrome is going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, sort of Western States vibes.
Just the same. What is it that keeps bringing you back to this race?
It's the I love the way Gareth's put together all those green bits, those urban trails. I think you guys talked about it last week. It's so clever. And, you're 3 kilometres, 2 kilometres from the city centre and you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. My kind of adventure. So it's cool.
Because you come down here a bit for work as well, don't you? So you're familiar with these trails, but to be able to connect them all up in one day is just something special, isn't it?
Yeah. I used to come down pretty much every month. Not so much post-COVID, the way things are going, but yeah, I love the trails in Wellington. They're really lucky down here.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, we don't like to admit it.
There's a queue behind us.
Oh, we better go. All right. Well, thank you so much and have a great time tomorrow. We'll see you out there.
Yeah. See you there and see you afterwards.
So, Matt, I've just got a bit of a confession to make.
What's that?
You know how we just did a 20-minute conversation with Gareth Thomas, race director of the W2K?
Yep. Always a treat.
I only recorded 15 minutes of it. Sorry about that.
I feel so happy about that. Not because we missed 5 minutes of the corridor with Gareth, which is always entertaining and informative, but because that sounds like something that I would normally do.
Okay. Well, look, to fill it in, will you play Gareth? I'll play Matt and Eugene. No.
Okay.
But he talked about, the bits that he missed that he talked about was the challenges of the 2021 year when we were down here and the weather and the cyclonic, or I don't know what you call them.
1 in 100 year storm?
Yes. And the challenges that threw at him. And then sort of compared that to some of the challenges he's had this year, including the fact that the velodrome finish, which is a new thing this year. Oh, sorry, Gareth, what were you going to say?
No. Well, I mean, he'd been...
Gareth being Matt.
I've been, as Gareth Thomas, directly in conversation, not with Western States, which finishes on an athletic track.
No,
but
that was different. We got that bit.
Paris-Roubaix.
Right, there you go. Okay, Paris-Roubaix. But so that you'll come to know what the hell he's talking about there coming up soon, dear listeners. Anyway, but he has normally been... Well, of course, Wutuka has normally finished at the Mount Vic finish line area. This year, after conversations with the council, they've moved down to the velodrome, all going hunky-dory. They thought they were going to have the cycling club as a nice indoor venue until the other day they got notice that the copper pipes had been stolen, so there's no water at the finish line.
Both from the roof and the floor.
Yes. So thank you to whoever did that. So anyway, he talked about the challenges that are thrown the way of a race director. I can't remember what else he said. There was so much. It was so good.
It's pretty much
5 minutes of packed fun. But here's the rest of the 15 minutes with Gareth Thomas.
How good. What are you most looking forward to tomorrow?
People being safe and finishing with a smile on their face, or tears streaming down their face, one or the other.
Or both.
Yeah.
Which gives you more pleasure?
It's...
Honestly.
Being a sadomasochist, it's kind of nice seeing a mix of emotions crossing the finish line. It's usually tears of pleasure and just, joy of actually getting to the finish line in general. Where you get those other people who cross the finish line without a bead of sweat on them and looking like they can run for another 65 Ks.
Do you send them out for another lap?
Well, we got the velodrome this year, so we can do that. Just get them doing laps of the velodrome. Keep on lapping. I won't take that tagline from anyone. It's Monday. Can we stop now? I just really look forward every year to, have no one injuring themselves badly on course, getting to the finish line safe and sound. All the volunteers taking care of themselves and look after themselves. We're one big family in this trail running community, as you guys know, and we try to look after ourselves the best as we can.
Do you... How once the race finishes, how quickly are you having to plan for the next year?
I give myself a good break these days. I think early on when I started the run, it was more about, ticking off the list of things that had not gone quite to plan, because there were quite a few of those in the early stages. Whereas these days, it's a lot more, copy-paste a bit from last year. Things worked well, so we'll just lock that down, do that again next year. So I do give myself a break. But saying that, with the Y2K now in November, I kind of finished the Woo, tidy that up over a few weeks, and then start early planning of the Y, which actually we're going to be getting out and cutting back Frith Track again this year after 2021's massive epic mission of doing that. So that'll be part of the work to do this year for that.
Tell us a bit about the Y.
Well, the Y's in its, I think it's 5th year this year. Started in 2020, which was, not the most ideal time to start.
You've got a good idea. We'll start another race.
I spent like 3 years planning it as well. So getting the route nailed down, making sure the access ways were all, usable. All of those things take a long time when you're first starting an event. And obviously getting 2020 going. 2020's got a good ring to it, Sounds great. And then partway through that year, it's like, shit, okay. But we still went ahead with it. Still ran with it. Had 100 or so runners that year, so it was pretty small numbers, but it's good. The Y's kind of like the, bigger sister of the Woo. It's got a few more grunty climbs. It's a bit more remote. You get some views of the Tararuas and the Rimatakas and out towards the south coast. So it's, in the general, Wellington area, but it's a lot more sort of, rugged terrain and, a bit more of an adventure experience for people.
Is it a sort of a destination event? Like people will come across for the weekend or come down for the weekend to go there? I mean, Wellington. I guess you've got a high percentage of Wellington runners who do Wu2K, so it's their home turf. But do you get a lot of people coming across the Rimatakas to run the Y, and people coming from elsewhere to do it more as a destination, a weekend away?
Yeah, I fully think it's definitely a destination weekend away. The Wairarapara, the Rimatakas, the Tararuas. We get a lot of people coming from up north, Palmerston North, Hawke's Bay, Auckland, and it's getting big. It's getting bigger and brighter. Hopefully a bit more word gets out there this year because we've got the long course 100K athletics champs this year. So it'll be good to see how that goes. The 100K course is pretty grunty with about 4K of vert over that as well.
Wow. So what does that mean to the race to have that sort of, that affiliation with the national champs?
It's great, actually. I mean, last year it struggled to get the numbers, to be honest. So this year we've already got about 23, 24, I think, signed up for the 100K itself, which is really nice. I'm keeping it quite low capped as well with 100 per entry, per category. So I think that just keeps kind of a nice feel about, you want to sort of get into an event. You don't want to jump into an event that's brand new with, 5,000 people. In my opinion, I kind of like seeing events start small, grassrootsy, and just, grow over time and get more of a following as it goes. I think it's going to be good with Athletics New Zealand this year.
Matt talked about that first time, when you burst into the festival, saying that you had this idea of linking up these trails and coming up with the race. But do you remember when you actually did start to conceive this idea, and were you sitting there with topo maps, or how did it play out, actually bringing Wu2K into reality?
It was kind of a mix of things, really. It started with the Worm, the Wellington Running Meetup group, way back in the days. Myself and the crew, we used to go and obviously explore the trails. Word of mouth via the Worm running crew, you'd always go, okay, I'll go with them, give it a run. The running group's really good in that respect because you sort of get to go to a place where you don't normally go for a run. You go, I won't go there because I don't know where it is. And someone says, come and join me. So you go and check it out. And after doing a lot of those runs with Worm and also by myself and with course designer Stu Milne, of course, I think we were the first two to sit down and actually go, Stu, what do you think of this run? Piecing it together, maybe do a 50K around the city. He's like, great, yeah, I'll help. So we all just teed it up and sat down, and I had this route originally planned out, and I was like, Stu, what do you reckon? He's like, yep, we'll go and check it out, run bits and pieces of it, tie it together. He's like, nah, too much road in that part. There's another alternative course here through Tawatawa, for example. We were originally going around the coast a bit more, and he's like, we'll cut through Tawatawa. This trail through there. So Stu was part of building those little parts together and refining little elements. And it also came down to the recce in 2015 where we went as a group and ran the course. And even after that, there were a few changes made to, adapt after people's feedback.
And bringing it into reality, into life that first year, and then seeing it grow must just be, amazing.
Huge. It's been a life-changing experience for me, for sure. Because the first year was just like, I'll give it a go, and might just tick it off one year and do it as a casual running thing. That was my sort of thoughts, and I think it was only after 3 years that I actually decided to run it more as a business, really, because it was always just about get back to the community and have fun. And my partner Megan's like, why don't you start actually making something out of it and running it as a business? I'm like, it's probably not a bad idea, I guess. So she helped me help kick me in the ass for that. So no, it's good. It's been really, really nice, and I'm really proud of what I've achieved, and just stoked with the support of not only the local community, all of New Zealand, and everyone else who's come along and had a go at it.
And you should be super proud of it because it's an amazing event. The realities of being of running this as a business. There's been a few challenges the last few years, globally, locally, and also personally for you. You've had some ups and downs with your health. So what is the reality of being an event organizer and business owner in 2024?
Well, as all of you know, life's pretty tough out there for a lot of us. I find myself in a lucky position where I've got an event where people actually want to come back to it, which, as we know, there's quite a few events that have struggled to get by, and, through whatever reasons, rising costs, I know that plays a big part, and you've got to try and balance that out and juggle things. And if the numbers aren't there, it's just going to, slowly fall apart. So that's why I say that having the support is so important, not only financially, just to, keep the numbers looking good, make the race look good, having the numbers there, running it, enjoying it, or enjoying parts of it, hopefully. And, financially, it's, the woo makes a bit, but it's not like I'm a millionaire. I do a lot of it for the passion, for the love, and, giving something, something that people can work towards as a goal, and just seeing them takeaways, the takeaways from it, it's important to me, more important than money for sure.
Can you see a point where do you feel like you've got you're in the sweet spot? Like you said, it's a race that people come back to. You've got a 30% return rate, but then you've got that 70% of people who are new to it. People tell other people come back. Do you see a point where what would it look like if the race sort of collapsed under its own weight? Is there a point where you'd look to say, like, move it to another space or move it on, or are you happy with where you are now?
I'm happy seeing where it's at. I mean, it's going to be 10 years for me next year, and I always said I'd do it for 10 years and, make a decision after that, either put it out in the market or see if someone else wants to take it on. Who knows? If anyone's got any suggestions, you want to buy an amazing event, come and hit me up.
Wellington Urban Ultra Trail.
No, I'm not too sure. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. It's, it is a lot of work for, minimum wage. Well, not minimum wage, but, it's not.
You're not going to be retiring to the Bahamas.
Wage.
No, exactly. It's a nominal wage, so it's it's enough to get by. But it's it would be nice to see the woo. Maybe down the track, someone comes along and does purchase it off me or whatever, adds to it a bit more. Makes it grow. You could easily add a few more little events into it. I did contemplate at one stage doing a summertime woo version, so we could add a 100K event in there. But
well, 2021 you introduced the swim course.
The swim course,
swim
exactly.
Run.
Yeah, the backstroke was a winner that year. I think having the Y with the 100K there as well. That's kind of I've added that to it anyway in a way, so that's ticked that box. But yeah, I just want to see it keep on going. The people who run it love it. The people who help out love it. The support's great. And, it's nice for Wellington, I think. It showcases the trails we've got here really well.
Absolutely, 100%. So Matt is back for his fourth time running the marathon tomorrow. Got any tips got any tips for him for tomorrow?
Have I got any tips for Gareth? Yeah, mate, you should just...
Matt's always got tips for me. He calls me up quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, Gareth, I've got an idea.
Tips for Matt. Okay, tips for Matt running, well, fourth time back, so there's probably not much I can offer, really. He knows the course. He knows where he's going. Tips, just the trails will be quite slippery tomorrow. It's been quite wet in Wellington today. Wet and a bit windy, so the wind might dry out a bit overnight. I think there's going to be a bit of wind in the morning, easing up to a kind of sunnyish day in the afternoon. So the velodrome finish will be nice, I think. Ideally just, watch yourself on the trails. Make sure your shoes are not tennis shoes.
Damn it.
And do your best to stay upright.
I think if I was going to give anyone advice, it's that last 10K. It's just watch yourself coming off tip track. Like, don't crack all your eggs before you hit Tawatawa. And you go, you got a little Albert, Victoria. It's not. And they suck. And it's hard. And it's awesome too. And actually, say if you do save a little bitty bacon, it's the funnest running of the whole course because that's the real urban-y part, Yeah, that would be my thing.
Yeah, the last 10Ks are the kind of most urban-y, I guess you could say that. And I heard your podcast the other night. It's almost like running through someone's backyard and sort of saying hi on the way past. No, I think it'd be nice having the velodrome finish this year as well, as I've already talked about. I think that's just going to add a nice little extra bit to the woo in general.
People have made Western States comparisons. Well, I think the opposite's happening actually. Western States is now being compared to U2K.
That's correct. Yeah, I was going to say we did talk about that quite a bit with Western States in the back, and in the past. No, I think it's going to be good. The Western States thing is there, obviously, but obviously it didn't come off the Western States. It was just like, shit, we can't run the event there anymore. We've got to move it to there, so we'll give that a go.
It's all in the marketing.
It's in the marketing, yeah.
Actually, no, it's not, because Western States doesn't finish on a velodrome. Western States finishes on an athletic track.
Exactly.
True.
Now, what's the cycling race? It's a classic. It's called the Hell of the North. That finishes on a velodrome.
So we're going one up.
Yeah, that classic. It's over the cobblestones. I can't remember what it's called. I'm shouting at myself internally. That finishes on a velodrome.
Yeah.
Is there any drafting rules in place because it's a velodrome tomorrow?
Well, as you know, it'd be a pretty spread out field by the time people get to that stage. So no drafting rules.
Fill your boots.
I got my aero helmet for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. My one potential issue about setting up the finish line tower on the velodrome is having the sloped surface to try and stick the finish line tower up. So wish me luck tomorrow doing that.
All right. Well, wish you luck for lots of things tomorrow, including that. Thank you so much for doing what you do. It's an amazing, amazing event. We don't need to tell you that. Enjoy your day.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. And it's lovely to see you both back down in Wellington for the woo.
Yeah, turn this on this time. Matt, see, it's actually going this time. Sorry.
Check.
Anyway, yes, we've got things moving. Welcome to the show. I'll just get you to introduce yourself, please.
Kia ora, my name is Brent.
And what's your role at Woo2K?
Boy Friday this year. So it is Friday. I'm a boy. And I'm just basically being a second-hand man to Gareth, the main man on the ground.
What's your history with involvement with Woo2K?
I was asked to man an aid station way back in the first year, Mount Albert. So I was a man with some water and some gummy bears. And also the person who was responsible for cutting off the tail end of the race.
How enthusiastically did you discharge that duty?
Well, there was some swearing involved at me. But that's okay. People get upset at that time of the race where they feel as though they can finish. But, we've got safety of other people in the race, so volunteers and what have you kind of still around waiting for people. So, yeah, it's difficult, but it's one of those tough things that we have to do to kind of make other people's days enjoyable as well.
Have you ever contemplated the comrade style, back with the gun? Have you seen that?
I have seen that. Yes, I have. Constantly, every year. Yep.
I was there that first year, and I was standing because it finished at the top of Mount Victoria, at the very, very top. I remember standing there because I was there with Chandima, because I was staying with him, and I think that's the first year I met you, or maybe it wasn't, but it was.
It was, yep.
And we obviously have got on famously since. But I remember being there, and just how apparent it was that stuff was going to get really hard because the sun was going down, and those cutoffs, even though it is like a Wellington thing, when you're responsible for people's safety, you have to make those hard calls, hey?
You do, yeah. And look, I don't envy anyone who has to make those calls. I think going to Tailwind one year before Woo2K was a thing, going up and seeing Tim Day having to do that through the end of when it was the old course, the second to last aid station that was River Road. Seeing him make those hard calls and seeing the kind of exasperation of people who had been fighting all day. It is something that happens. It's happened to me. It's par for the course, I think, sometimes if you're just not prepared and you're not having a day. Yeah, and it's hard. No one wants to quit. But someone else making that decision for you is even harder.
But sometimes as a runner, it's a good thing, isn't it? It's kind of taken out of your hands. Someone else has made the call. I'm putting a bright side onto this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, sometimes it's weather and sometimes it's other people. And sometimes it's yourself. we none of us ever go on to a race knowing if we're going to get to the other end, right? We all know that we can start more often than not, but getting to the other end, things happen. It's much like life, really, isn't it?
I remember, I've never been cut off, but I have been medically retired twice.
Yeah, I've heard about this time in a helicopter.
Yeah, that was cool. But I remember thinking I probably could have fought harder. I probably could have fought harder, but being quite reassured. I probably could have made a scene about it, but going, I'll trust you.
Yeah, I think one of the few times where I have pushed through where I was down doing Shot Over Moonlight Marathon and made the decision the day before to go for a jet boat ride. In the course of the jet boat ride, I broke 3 ribs. Turned up the next day and started in a lot of pain at the start, but by the time I got to the halfway point where there was a split off down to the 30k race, I was informed, the medical doctor at the time kind of had a look at me and looked at my ribs and said, yeah, they're definitely broken. Firstly, I can hear them, and secondly, you're very well bruised and I can see them. But it's tough. I had all the training under my belt. My legs were fine. My head was fine. We're just the kind of going down hills. So getting one extra hill out of the way, it felt more of an achievement than kind of getting there and stopping.
You've broken a bit of stuff. You broke your collarbone a while ago.
Oh yeah, tripping up on the end of the
tuck
trail
and
run.
roll. Yeah,
It was a tuck and roll. The only bone I've ever broken in my whole life, and it was 200 meters away from my car. So on the flattest piece of trail in the Hutt Valley, but that's okay. That happens. Yeah, I've survived. I'm back.
You weren't doing that for a photo, were you?
No, not this time round. Done many things for photos, but not tripping up and breaking my collarbone in 4 places.
Ouch. Now, you mentioned Tarawera, and we've seen you there volunteering as well, and you're here doing things. But what is it that makes you want to get involved on that side of the sport and be involved not just as a runner, but as in helping out and getting involved in the volunteering and the organisational side of the sport?
Reflecting on a conversation with a friend earlier today, sometimes laziness, and sometimes just the fact that actually I really do enjoy giving back and just kind of being a part of an event or a community and stuff, and just helping enable the success of others. It's just a general part of my kind of being, I guess, is I get more joy out of seeing others succeed as opposed to seeing myself in a place that's better than I was last week. So, but in doing that, it also kind of moves me forward as well and kind of helps me understand that I can do hard things that aren't necessarily stuff that's pushing myself.
Speaking of doing harder stuff, we swam this morning, didn't we?
We did. We did. How good was it?
It was good, but it was cold. So tell me about that. There's quite a crew on a Friday, at least.
Yeah, so that came about. So a friend of mine, Barney Apuru, who lives down in Whakatu, Nelson. So he started doing this a few years ago down in Nelson, and it kind of expanded. It was been in Gisborne and Christchurch, and had been in Wellington for a while as well. Initially, they were doing it out on the south coast at Lyell Bay. As you can imagine, in winter, that started to get a little bit tough for people, and it just kind of dwindled away. So he got in touch with another friend of ours, Tom, and Chev, who own a little store in Wellington, Coffee Outdoors. So he got in touch with them and said, hey, you guys want to do this? And then he reached out to me and told me that this thing was happening and I should go along. I'm like, nah, not really my thing. So another friend of mine, Brad, I kind of told him about it because sea swimming is his kind of thing. He's like, I'll go if you go. And so from there on, I've been going every Friday morning since August last year, and a few times of the week, a few other times during the week as well. So yeah, it's a little movement called Me Versus Me, and it's about you challenging yourself to do things that don't seem hard but are actually quite hard, and just kind of pushing yourself out of your own mindset and kind of creating those small incremental changes in your life to kind of prove to yourself that you can do stuff that's not only hard, but something that actually challenges yourself mentally, just to kind of get out of bed at 6:30 on a Friday morning when it's the last thing you want to do, especially in the middle of winter when it's pouring with rain with 30 kilometre-hour southerlies blasting through and the water's only 11 degrees.
I'm having flashbacks. Feeling a bit cold now, but it was great, and it is a lucky challenge. You say it's you're there, you're in your, you sort of beforehand, you're in your warm clothes, you're like, oh, I don't want to do it, but you do, and there's that sense of satisfaction, and there's that sense of, oh yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was actually quite good.
Yeah, and it sets you up for the weekend, and at the same time, it's probably the hardest thing that most people are ever going to do on a Friday. Don't get me wrong, there's probably a whole lot of other hard things that people do, but generally, for most Fridays, it's a really hard thing for people to do, and it's that small mental mind shift every Friday morning that people kind of just keep coming back, and they go in, and they've been doing it throughout the year. They look at the weather, and sometimes it's really hard to drag yourself out of bed, even on the days that you're not going into the water. But I think in Wellington, we're just so privileged and lucky to have such an ability to do that, and then head off to work immediately afterwards. It is great to see a community that's kind of stuck together throughout winter as well. It's not warm. The water
no wetsuits.
No. So how'd you find it? How are you compared to your Friday dips that you've been doing?
Yeah, well, usually we're in wetsuits, and it's in Auckland. It was 12 degrees last week in Auckland, which I was a little bit surprised actually. I thought it was going to be a bit colder down here. Not that I'm saying it was warm, but without the wetsuit is a whole other thing. Getting in the water, dealing with that initial shock, and then having to control your breathing. But then you do, and you just sit there and then contemplate the thought of getting out in the southerly.
Yeah, I think that was probably the thing I was not looking forward to today. Staying in the water is actually sometimes a lot more appealing than getting out of the water. Yeah. And it's interesting because you kind of talk to people who've been coming throughout the year and stuff, and in the height of summer, people are like, oh, you know what, I really miss the cold water. Water's too warm for me. I want to be back in cold water because I can see the benefits that provides to me, just even that small mental change. Yeah.
There's something so elemental about jumping into cold water, isn't it? It's a very almost an autonomic body no. Your body's like, no, don't get in there.
Yeah, and look, there's some people the way they get themselves into the water, they jump off the end of the jetty.
I think I'd have to be one of those people. Like, I'm not I don't mind it when I'm in there, but getting into there is that first step's the hardest.
Yeah, and look, there's one guy that kind of goes on off the beach with me every week as well. It's a guy called Tim, and he just shows life. He just kind of runs at the water, barrels towards it, and just absolutely barrels into it. And I love it. Love seeing people like that just kind of take that mental challenge and just kind of push through it.
Well, look, thank you so much. We better let you get back to your duties. I'm sure that Gareth is looking for you with duties to do, or wanting to get something done or get some lunch.
Where will you be tomorrow?
I'm doing the 21k start, and then I'll be at the finish line all day, welcoming people home after their journey around the hills of Wellington. And I think this is the first time actually that I've had a chance to go to be at the finish line the whole day. So I'm looking forward to that part of the day, and just kind of seeing that joy of people as they cross the line, either in pain or tears or just joy. I think finish lines are a great place to see the human spirit of achievement really come to life.
Super, super special. Well, have a great day, and we'll see you out there tomorrow.
Look forward to it. Good luck tomorrow, Matt.
All right, it's Saturday morning, race day.
Yep.
How are you feeling, Matt?
Yeah, I feel suddenly really quite nervous, which it was a state I wasn't expecting to be in. Not that I was being complacent, but yeah, looking forward to the day. It's quite dark. Glad I bought a headlamp.
Yeah, just to be clear, the headlamp that you used at check-in, you have your real headlamp. Don't do that at home, people. I
have the same make and model of headlamp that was used at check-in. Yes.
Don't ask me what that model was. So the 62k people all got off well this morning. Apparently, it's pretty good conditions. It's not raining. It's a little bit overcast, so it's not too cold. It's not too hot. Well,
yeah.
It is winter.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're standing here in giant puffer jackets over our thing, but we are. It's not this type of cold where we're from, and it's going to be a good day. I note with Tara that we're standing by a defibrillator.
I just thought it was prudent.
yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the day, and it takes me back to all those times with friends and with family and that have been on this path. So,
Well, the other thing that you've got going for you is you've got the best crew.
yeah, we do have the best crew. So we've got yourself, we've got Rebecca and Lola and Lily out crewing. So we'll see.
Just to be clear, I'm not crewing for you. Get
No,
stuffed.
you're driving.
Yeah.
But
I'm here to throw ice over you.
Yeah, that's right. Ice bandanas at every aid
Stuff
station.
noodles in you and throw ice.
Yeah.
Just even if you don't want it.
Well, it's de rigueur now, isn't it? I think the contrast between the last race that I did, Skedaddle, was that there I knew essentially nobody, ran by myself, and didn't know where I was. And what will be different about this is much more familiar. So I'm looking forward to that.
And there's a, I mean, we're not quite ready yet, but there's a special feel at a start line, isn't there? It's a moment of anticipation. You're excited. You're ready to go. You've got a bunch of people around you who are in the same position. It's sort of that shared joy and excitement, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and you can see that there's a lot of keyed up people.
Yeah.
So it's cool to be part of that.
Certainly is. All right, let's go. Rightio, who we got here?
Mark, I sort of dabble in a bit of Tailwind in New Zealand, and just sort of drifting around the WTK course today, looking after a couple of our ambassadors, friends, customers, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So just...
How many athletes you got out on course that you keep an eye on today?
Oh, there'd be probably, sort of between 20 and 30. Those are the sort of, I guess, ambassadors, but then there's the broader sort of close friends and customers that we know as well. So this being a local event for us is it's probably quite a deep field in terms of who we know. Case in point, talking to you. I mean, you know.
I think you've accused me of being a stalker today. So.
well, I don't really assume that people are my friends, so I go right to the bottom of the barrel very quickly.
So it's quite. I mean, it's a good course in that sense, in that the aid stations are all accessible, aren't they? You can get around, but it is quite a juggle keeping track of people, isn't it?
It totally is, and look, it's quite a grunty course as well. So although there's sort of like a 10k distance between aid stations, it's a fairly tough 10k. So there's that from the runner's perspective, and then as you just mentioned, just logistically getting to these aid stations can be sort of quite tricky as well, but certainly accessible and great for the support crew and just people trying to sort of get a sense of whether this sort of trail running thing will take off for them as well. It's cool. I mean, I just went to grab a coffee from a cafe, and the people that were serving me were talking about the WTK as well. So there's like this broader community that sort of gets behind the local race. It's really cool for for trail running in New Zealand, just to sort of spread the word.
Yeah, we had the same experience. We walked into a cafe and people were like, "Oh, are you guys here for the race? What's your runner doing?" And,
Yeah.
And I'm not, not being judgmental in saying this, but they didn't look like trail runners. They didn't look like people who'd normally be engaging with the trail community. But here they were, sort of tied into this race and wanted to know a little bit about it and how our runner was. And
I mean, we get behind the sort of grassroots events, across New Zealand, but. Sort of personally, this was the first trail race as such that I actually ran, and in fact, to close that loop, the person that I'm sort of supporting or trying to support anyway today, Erin Vaughan, is the lady who. I guess for the purpose of this podcast, I won't go into into my version of events, but I'll just try to keep it clean and say she pushed me into trail running. But without pushing me, I wouldn't know that I was able to run it and even enjoy it. And that's what this sort of event allows people to sort of see, just the camaraderie and the friendships and the ability to actually push yourself. So when you're sort of running a 10k, you can probably try to tackle a 21 year or do the 21 and run the 43. It's a really inclusive community, and you just see that in the increase in numbers year on year as well. So it's a fantastic outdoor activity.
And I tell you what, this event in particular is one where you don't get the I'm just. So people
running the 45 are not saying, "Oh, I'm just running the 45," as in I'm not doing the 62, because all the events here, all the distances here are a decent challenge. They're good to take on, and there's a good vibe as well, isn't there? There's not sort of that whole, the top distance is the race. And
No. I mean, there's a good point there around that 21 being quite possibly the toughest part of those three courses, because there's very little running in that 21. The 40 odd and the 60 odd, you can run some, and you can go, "Hey, Gareth, you're actually a decent bloke." That 21, I don't know if there's a lot of friendly banter towards the race director in that course, and I think he enjoys it. But that's where it actually becomes. Look, as long as you get your head around the hills and you're able to walk the hills, so it's not like a road race where you're just sort of sitting a cadence. Get behind the fact that, hey, look, dip your toes in, walk the hills, jog the flats and the downhills, and you'll be away laughing. Hey, the people are just so helpful in this space. So that's why it's really neat, being sort of, I guess, like yourself, being a little bit behind the scenes now, helping, crewing, sharing some banter, and then obviously it closes the loop when you one of those competitors again. So.
Absolutely. So you get around to plenty of events. What do you got coming up in the next little while?
There's probably a little bit of a lull, sort of leading into the back end of sort of August. But then, we kick in with events pretty much every weekend from about September onwards through to sort of the end of April. So we sort of, I guess, appreciate a little bit of downtime, and also just time to sort of go on those run adventures. So we're not sort of heavy training. I guess I'm not sort of heavy training for a particular event, but just sort of keeping everything moving, so that come August, September, we back into it. There's apparently a rather big event in Rotorua, a 24-hour event.
I think I've heard of it.
Look,
it's real small.
Apparently the race directors, word is that Courtney's coming over for it. So, I don't want to spread a rumor on a podcast,
I'm not saying which Courtney, but
no, Courtney from Christchurch.
Hey, well, look, I'll better let you go and catch up with your runners, but it's always great to see you around, mate, and thanks for the chat.
Excellent. Thanks, Eugene, and I appreciate what you guys do for trail running as well, because it's really important, and also getting to listen to the podcasts on a run is just really quite cool to hear and connect with other people's stories and other people's journeys. So thank you very much.
It's kind of you to say. All right.
Thank you.
Cheers. How we going, Matt?
Oh, much better, actually. Good. Yeah.
You're going good. That's what you're going.
Thank you. Hang on. Can you empty those
Into the bin.
Yeah, no. Yes, please. No, that's been rough as guts this first half. So I fell and I hit my head about 10k in, and
you fell backwards.
I fell backwards and hit my head, and it was pretty hectic for a while there, actually.
You got mud on the top of your hat.
Yes.
How did you manage that?
Well, my hat flew off. I hit the ground. I hit my head. I hit my head that hard that my hat came off.
I tell you what, you're looking good.
Thank you.
You're in control.
I must
say, you're making really good time.
Thank you. I must say, having Sean, who I've known since punk and hardcore days back with the sneaks.
Really?
Yeah. Come with me has been just one of the most beautiful things,
because
he ran that. We just ran the whole way. We just ran the whole way together, and because I don't normally cry at aid stations, but when I do it, I make sure it's at 18k. That was really hard, and I wanted to drop out basically the whole way, and I still don't feel the best, but look at that.
You're doing good. You're doing really good for time.
Yeah.
What are you? You're 28k in.
Yeah.
Mate, you're on track.
Two Mickey. So no, feeling.
Lola gave a good chahu.
Yeah, she did. I heard. So that was very Kepler-esque, that one.
Yeah.
I got halfway up and was like, gonna throw up. Feel terrible.
Yeah.
And just So just now it's the small matter of Barking Emu, Tip Track, Tawa, and then
you can see home from here.
Yeah, you can.
Well, not quite, 'cause it's the velodrome on the other side of the thing.
But there's Mount Albert, Mount Vic. There, yeah.
All right, well, let's do it.
All right, I'm just waiting on my water bottle and get out of here.
Okay, we'll move this way.
Thanks.
All right.
Bitty the mouth.
You got this.
Bitty.
You got this.
Love you guys.
Love
See you later.
All right. Carly from Runners NZ.
I feel like I've caught something in the wild, you know? You out doing your job with your camera, ready to go, like observing what you do.
Well, Wellington's sort of like home for us a little bit. We were here for so long, so we know quite a few of the locals here. Here comes our friend Nat and Molly, the dog. So, there's just so many people here we know and so many familiar faces. Yeah. So, it's lovely to cheer for people that you know.
How's Lee going? We saw him down on the south coast.
Yeah, I've been the worst crew because I sort of dropped him off at the start line and I haven't seen him all day. So I'm just hanging.
Mark seemed to be taking good care of him.
Yeah, so I've just been sort of sitting here waiting for him to come in. He is... What is the time? He's missed his stretch goal. So
it's okay.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough course, so it's one of those things. Helene Barron was one of the people we first interviewed who was a very, very long distance runner, and one of the cool things she always said was, with long distances like this, there's so much you can't control and so much outside your control and so much that can take up time but doesn't matter. So sometimes completing it is winning it, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Anyone who can come along here and complete this course anytime.
It's not kind, is it? Where's Gareth? It is not a kind course.
He's a sadist. We all agree on that.
We interviewed Gareth actually a few years ago about the Y2K. Am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, go on.
He, in one of his things he said is, if people don't say "F you, Gareth," at least once on the course, he hasn't done his job. So I'm going to just put a bet out there that a few people have said that today.
They will have. Even though the conditions have been good, it's been slippery from yesterday, hasn't it? So, I mean, lots of people have taken a fall. There's lots of dirt on bums.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good. That's always a giveaway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've had a good day?
I have had a good day. It's been really cold, but we stayed dry most of it. This is Erin. Ooh. So do you mind if I promise I'd yell out,
Go.
Marco! Hello! Yeah, good girl! Woo! Doing awesome, Erin! Sorry.
There we go.
That's what I was waiting for. And Stephen. So Stephen Bates has never finished a Woo 2K.
Oh, and here he is.
He's finally. I kept waiting here at the finish and he's, no.
He's faking an injury.
So another one. Well done.
Let's go,
a
Stephen.
finish. Woo!
Not yet.
Oh, God.
What's he got? 400 metres to go?
Oh, more
he
than
can
that.
do it.
They make you run this twice.
Right. True.
So, it's one of these things, you come in here and when you see the crowd, if you feel like walking, you don't, you run. And I feel like this is a bit mean because you run and then you realise you've actually got to do it twice. So you might have spent your energy
around the outside.
And then you come on and then you go backwards around the inside.
Yeah.
So
like we said, he's a sadist.
A little bit.
Anyway, we better get back to watching for our respective runners.
Yes.
Matt's coming in soonish, hopefully as well.
Yeah. Cool.
So thanks for chatting.
Awesome.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. It'll be good to see you running again.
Yes. And you. Good luck with our surgeries. All right, crew. We've had a long day on the road. How do we think it's gone, Rebecca?
I've got 2 words, Eugene. Gratitude for you, because we would not have managed this without you.
Well, you were in charge of the nav and it went very well.
Yeah, true. Another word is regret. Regret for entering Crater Room.
It's made you realise.
It has. It's really shed some light on what I've got ahead of me. Yeah. So that's today.
Well, the good side is you won't have to worry about navigating you around as a crew member.
True.
You've got it easy.
I won't have to drive up windy, hilly roads.
Yep.
I won't have to
Eat hot chips.
think about wind turbines.
Whether that carca is going to fly into the wind turbine.
Whether that carca, predator-proof fencing. I won't have to worry about that.
Won't have to
Yeah.
think
True.
about keeping Eugene in a fence.
True. Lily, how's your day gone as a crew member?
Great.
Yeah? Highlights?
I had hot chips for lunch.
What's important to fuel?
No. Seeing Dad at the aid stations.
Yeah.
And the beach.
How was it the last one?
He was great.
He'd come right. He'd come right by that.
Got his
last
colour
aid
back.
station.
Yeah.
He wasn't as pasty as before.
He looks good.
He
Oh,
did.
Good observation. Good observation.
She saw
Lola.
him through the
I
window
did,
of the car.
I did.
Lola, what's been your highlights of our day following around the Wu2K?
What have been my highlights? That wind turbine was pretty cool.
It was a good aid station.
Scucks, that wind turbine. Had a good brioche, cinnamon brioche in the morning. Oh, and a pie, that was good. I like that cafe.
Penny's Bakery.
Yeah,
for anyone
shout out
living in
Penny's
Wellington.
Bakery.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
But it's quite a mission getting around, but it's been good fun, haven't we? We've had fun.
Yeah, it has been good. I say I'm really glad it wasn't me driving. We might still be at that first cafe thinking, how are we going to get there?
Well, we've done it. We've done ourselves proud, I'm sure. And we're just waiting on Matt to finish off this race. He'll be through the finish area anytime soon, I'm sure. And then I imagine he'll be wanting to hit the town.
Yeah, I think so. He looked like that's what he'd want to do.
He was
straight
on
away.
the piss.
Yeah, that's what he
Shopping,
looked
I
like.
reckon.
Yeah.
Shopping.
Mecca,
Yeah.
Sephora.
He'd be
What
going
else?
straight. He'd be like,
Glassons,
take
yeah.
me straight to Lamp and Key.
Please,
Yeah.
I'll be begging.
All right, we better keep an eye out. Very good.
Okay, Matt, in that little crew wrap-up that you will have heard at the end of our field recordings there were a few predictions that you'd be ready to hit the town afterwards. Maybe a bit of hitting the town or else going shopping. But it's fair to say you weren't really in that kind of mood. Still, I reckon, and everyone reckons, you should be immensely proud of getting it done at the Wu2K after taking that fall. You know, we heard that bit of audio of you at the wind turbine aid station describing what had happened, and you were pretty sore, but you were determined to battle through. And of course, spoiler alert, you did make it because we were there waiting for you at the end. How did things end up for you?
I just wanted to stop the whole way. Basically, I've never done a race where I've wanted to stop earlier, like that early in a race. You know, like being like,
Yeah.
I just want to stop this. I just don't want to do this anymore. And by the end, that last, when I saw you at Tawa, I was feeling pretty hopeful. Actually, I got down tip track okay, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. But that last 10K just kicked it out of me. And
it's a gnarly last 10K.
It is a gnarly last 10K. And I have to, fair dues, I have to, think about the other times I've done it. I've been a lot more prepared. I've been a lot more trained, which is my, that's not an excuse. It's an accountability, I guess. Just my quads at the end were fairly blown out, which is, again, that's kind of rare for me. But I was a bit gun shy as well because, I'd fallen once, I'd hit my head. I wasn't feeling the best. And, just glad to get it over and done with, to be honest. But what a cool race. I mean, Wu2K is amazing, and it's just pound for pound. It's just so tough. And, just kudos to the people who streaked through.
Yeah. Well, so you hit the deck at about 10K, which is early on.
Bang on 10K.
Early on
Yeah.
to knock yourself about. And we were standing there at the first aid station when someone came through and said, and they came up to me and said, hey, Matt's just coming in, but he's not looking too good. He took a fall. And we were all worried about you, and we started to come up towards the trail. You were still running, but you were, to be honest, quite green. And so we got you, we took you straight. We'd alerted the medics that you were coming, and they were into action. And then I thought the response from the medical team on the race was excellent, and that they were constantly approaching you at each aid station. They'd be radioing ahead saying, he's coming, this runner, this number. And, this is just noting this as well, in case anyone ever wonders about this, all they had was your number. They didn't know it's Matt Raymond from Dirt Church Radio. In fact, there were other people on the course. There was someone who we know who was out on the course in an official role. And I said, Matt's coming. He's taking that thing to the head. And he was like, oh, is that him? I didn't realise, which I thought was a good thing. They'd respected your privacy. But they were keeping track of you, which is great to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really great to see, and it's that thing too. I've kind of been battling with it since we finished, and not to over egg the omelette or to under egg it. Like obviously, if I had massive neurological changes, or I had lost consciousness for a significant amount of time, or I was throwing up, or like my neurological exam was wonky or anything like that, I would have absolutely pulled the pin.
Well, and to be fair, I think they would have pulled you.
They would have pulled me, yeah.
They were pretty determined. In fact, I think it was the second Makara.
Yeah.
They were like, hey.
She was like, hey, buddy.
Angling. Yeah. And so, which is interesting, you're saying you wanted to pull out, but at each of the aid stations when there were medics checking you were saying, I want to carry on. So your inner voice was being subjugated by your outer voice, for sure.
Absolutely, it was. And so I thought like sort of by the end I was like, okay, I don't feel very well, and I'll go home and sort of sleep it off and get up tomorrow and I'll be feeling better. And I just throughout the day got progressively worse, and lo and behold, I was in the GP today saying, hey, I think I've got concussion and whiplash. He's like, yep, you've got concussion and whiplash. So yeah, it's such an individual thing, isn't it? I'm not advocating for that because I'm not that person either. I'm not a particularly tough. I don't think I'm a particularly tough human being or a tough guy human being or particularly macho.
Disagree.
Well, but that outward, I'm a tough guy. So it wasn't something that. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I carried on, but I'm glad I did. It was great, and it was wonderful to see everyone, and it was wonderful to see you guys, and that was really helpful as well. So helpful having, you and Rebecca and Lola and Lee and seeing Sean. That was interesting, the people you meet, like seeing Sean McWilliams, who I'd known for years and years and years and years, and running that sort of second third with him. That was really cool, that was so helpful. So
how did you figure that out?
So I was coming down the hill between Makara aid station. There's a really long hill, and I was just chugging down there, just feeling so sorry for myself, like running really slowly, just like, easily, but just slowly. And he came flying past. He was like, Matt Raymond. And I was like, oh, hey, bro, how's it going? And then he was gone. And then for some reason we caught up. He took longer in the aid station, or he must have just come out of Lazy Fern. I came out, and then we just took off together and climbed up Salvation up to Wrights Hill, which is that's my favourite part of the course. Actually, that I must say, the part between, and it's all uphill, but the part between the car park and Wrights Hill, I love that part. It's so cool. It's so runnable. That course is so amazing. So
that was your favourite part of the course. What was your favourite part of the day?
I didn't really have one. Finishing was my favourite part of the day. Yeah, finishing was my favourite part of the day. Yeah.
How was that? Having to go around the. Gareth
horrible.
would talk about having to do the velodrome finish this year. He didn't make it easy, did he? It wasn't like just go around the outside and then dip down onto the track and you finish. No. So you had to go around the outside and then come back in and do like a second loop down inside the track. It was cruel.
Well, the whole thing was cruel because he said, you got a bit of a downhill coming up, but the last like 700 meters was straight up, and at one point you could look through the trees and you could see the velodrome on the other side as you were climbing up this hill, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And there was a short section of stairs that were like sort of Furber or Fernbauer steep. Like they were, I was like, God damn it. But yeah, it was, it was cool. Run around the velodrome was cool, and sort of by that time you get into the velodrome, the job was done. And it's just that thing of like, I felt a little bit, it's funny, isn't it? Like I did feel, and despite myself, I would feel a sense of comparison to the last time I did it, which, it was a long time ago. It was an A race and I trained really, really hard for it. And I didn't fall and give myself a concussion, but sort of just running around the track like, oh God, but it was really, the race it's so cool. It's so cool. It's so hard. Everyone should give it a go at least once.
They should do, absolutely. And I'm just remembering from our chat with Gareth, you said you were going to don a aerodynamic helmet. If only you had.
If only I had.
If only you'd listened to yourself.
Well, the spike, ironically, would have just stuck in the ground.
Oh, true. You'd still be there.
I'd still be there, just struggling away.
Yeah. Or else somebody with a firework might have come and got you. I don't think we mentioned that. Somebody took some fireworks onto the course? Like, no. Don't do that. Do not do that. That is not a good move.
It's not a good look, eh?
No. Look, we should give some results.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Olivia Lawrence in the full woo, can we call it that? 7:14.26, tight race. Sarah Jenkins, 7:17.55, so only a couple of minutes behind. And Demeter Kenton-Dao, 7:34.51 for the third place on the podium.
In the men's race, Sam Rout was 5:38.32. Another bit of a ding-dong, Ryan Woolley in 5:40.19. And Chester Holt Quick certainly was 6:02.04.
Good to see a Northlander come down to Wellington and win. Anyway.
Smash and grab.
Yeah. And in the women, Thea Taylor, 4:42.06, Bridget Douglas, 4:44.15, and Perrette Clade, third with 4:45.21. That was the tightest race of the day. Congratulations, Thea. We caught up with her before the start, didn't we? And she'd had a bit of a adventure getting up from Christchurch to the Wu2K. One 5-year-old on board. 5-year-old, I think it was.
Yeah, 5-year-old on board.
Yeah.
One dropped jar of peanut butter later.
Yes. And backing up after the skedaddle where she got second. So, yeah, well done there.
One to certainly watch, eh? She seems like she's really, and more importantly, it seems like she's really enjoying the process, which is
absolutely.
Which is amazing. Someone who enjoys the process, Shirley Houndsmith's son, David Houndsmith, 3:41 flat for the 45k win. Sam Hansby in second, 9 minutes back in 3:50.52, and Matt Adams 3:57.32. Just incredible times on that course, like incredible.
David came through that first aid station at the end of the Skyline track so fast. I didn't have time to get my phone out. I was intending to get a video or get a photo or something of David coming through, and sort of thought, I've got a bit of time. And then I was about to get my phone out, and then bang, he was gone. He didn't pause. He was the flying doctor. It was amazing to watch. Anyway, in the 21k, which is a tough course, you get your full money's worth on that course. Louisa Bostock, 2:33.24, Clarissa Forrest, 2:34.08, and Alice McCubbin Howell, 2:36.28.
In the men's race, Nathan at sea, 1:46.30, bonkers. Rory Hart, 2:06.14, and Justin Martin in 2:08.33. And before we go, just got a special shout out. Willie Stevens.
Yes.
Longest run ever. First, pushing past the marathon. He's part of Wellington Scottish. He's a stalwart of the Wellington scene. He's a great friend and fan of Dirt Church Radio, and just wanted to shout him out. He said, it's the hardest thing he's ever done. So just wanted to say, well done, bro. And here's to many more.
It was good to see him. And it was great to hear from lots of people appreciating Dirt Church Radio. It was nice to hear, thanks for those of you who came up and said hi and
absolutely
gave us encouragement and whatever, and shouted and cheered on Matt as he was running around. It was good to get down there.
Yeah, well, actually, and I have to say, as I was running, when I fell, I was running with a gentleman whose name was blown out of my head by the fall, who had been living in Wellington and moved to Tauranga, and we'd shared some real cool kilometres together, and we're chatting up a storm, and it was really, really rad, and certainly, it just feel an incredible amount of privilege, not to be too soppy about the whole thing, to be doing this and to hear, it's great to be of service. So, I mean, I don't say this often, but I certainly feel like I have unfinished business with that course, and I will be back next year for a shot at not giving myself a concussion.
I mean, it's good to have goals.
Yeah. It's a low bar, right? It's a low bar for success. But, I mean, that's it for the Wu2K for another year. The 9th, congratulations to Gareth, Kate, Brent, Stu, and all the other bloody good sorts involved in bringing you this incredible, incredible race.
Yeah, well done. Look, before we go, our mate Gareth Morris, correspondent from Northburn, Westy Runner on YouTube, and on one of the early Dirt Church Radio episodes, around about 30, I think.
Yep.
Look, he's been eyeing up a Bob Graham round for quite a few years now, and over the weekend in the UK, he went and did it in the requisite sub 24-hour time, which is the critical mark you got a gun for. So he did 23 hours and 27 minutes. Amazing. Super proud. Congratulations, mate.
Do you remember when he did that Goggins thing? He made the video, the 4 miles for 48 hours, and part of his, or is it the 1 mile in 24 hours? It was either one of those. I can't remember, but he was memorizing the Munros as he was going. It was so
yeah. Nothing wrong with your brain. Good memory.
The long-term memory is fine. Short-term memory and vestibular balance. My balance is buggered. But anyway, apparently as it was, yeah.
Right, that's it for this week. Don't forget to send in your greatest run ever, which is now supported by the fantastic folks at Squad Run. They've got an extra special deal on for a 4-week coaching trial for DCR listeners. Give it a go by clicking the link in the show notes or on the website. Once you've had a hoon with the Squad Run trial, you'll no doubt be in great shape for a greatest run ever. So once you are, go and have yourself one, and be sure to send us an email telling us all about it that we can share on the show. And to send those to dirtchurchradio@gmail.com.
And we're on social media at Dirt Church Radio. We also www.dirtchurchradio.com. Now, don't forget to sign up to the Aid Station podcast and newsletter. Thanks to our supporters, Further Faster, Currans, and Squad Run, and our Substack subscribers in the DCR Aid Station crew. Stay tuned for our show in 2 weeks when we have another great guest lined up, and also check out DCR Aid Station next week.
Hey, Cornet. Hey, Cornet.
Thanks, Rigby.